as Tripura is the first among the northeastern states and second all over India to host this national initiative of this.
And now we will inaugurate the unveiling the book cover. And now we will
Program embodies this national vision by enabling states to strengthen their capabilities, respond to emerging threats, and institutionalize a culture of cybersecurity has evolved steadily over the past decade and a half. In 2018, its first cybersecurity policy, and in alignment with this, TCSP 2.0 based on this base with a structural, legal, and regulatory framework, strong compliance and enforcement, issued over 300 critical security alerts and advisories during the last 2022-23 for vulnerabilities affecting government systems, underscoring the need to observe long-term cybersecurity skills and strengthen coordination between state-level agencies and CERT. In alignment with this national vision, under the leadership of Honorable Chief,
मैं अपनी ओर से एवं त्रिपुरा सरकार की ओर से हमारे माननीय सचिव श्री एस कृष्णन साहब का त्रिपुरा की धरती पर पुनः हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं। शायद आप में से अधिकतर लोगों को नहीं पता कि मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एंड इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी बनने के बाद 2016 में यह मिनिस्ट्री बनी थी। उसके बाद कृष्णन सर पहले सचिव हैं जो त्रिपुरा आए हैं। इसके लिए मैं उन्हें बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं। यही नहीं, अभी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एंड इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी इस फॉर्मेट में आया है। इसके पहले 1999 में इन द ईयर 1999 मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी बना था और उसके बाद इसके बहुत सारे रूपांतरण हुए। पहले मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कम्युनिकेशंस में मर्ज हुआ, उसके बाद फिर डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन एंड इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी बना और शनाय फाइनली 2016 में जो अभी इसका रूप है इस रूप में आया और 2016 से लेकर अभी तक की तो बात छोड़िए, 1999 के बाद भी 1999 से 2016 तक भी इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी से संबंधित चाहे डिपार्टमेंट के रूप में हो या मिनिस्ट्री के रूप में हो, कोई भी शीर्ष पदाधिकारी यहाँ पर नहीं आए और इसीलिए मैं सर को दिल से आंतरिक धन्यवाद देता हूँ कि उन्होंने त्रिपुरा को चुना हम लोगों का मार्गदर्शन करने के लिए, हम लोगों का हौसला बढ़ाने के लिए। और अभी राहुल डायरेक्टर आईटी हैं, मैं 2001 से 2003 तक डायरेक्टर आईटी था और एक आईटी कॉन्फ्रेंस हुआ था श्रीनगर में। उस समय आतंकवाद काफी चरम सीमा पर था और उस समय मुझे याद है कि मिनिस्टर अरुण शौरी साहब हुआ करते थे। और
I think there needs to be a change in awareness, a change in behavior in terms of remembering not to share credentials, being careful with the credentials, changing them from time to time. These are seemingly simple issues, but it's a force of habit. Many of us don't do it. The other day I was reading in the paper that recently there was a theft, not the Mona Lisa, but some other paintings got stolen from the Louvre Museum in London, in Paris. And it's one of the most secure, one of the best known museums in the world. And their cybersecurity networks, their administrator's password was, guess, Louvre. Louvre. Not even Louvre 123. So it's that is the way we set our passwords. That is how careful we are. So this is something I think ultimately a lot of this we adapt to technology, but our mindsets sometimes don't change completely. We still believe in a simpler version. Only thing is that now that with technology, which is extremely convenient, which enables aggregation of so much information and enables aggregation of so much which happens, if you don't change practices and if you don't change behavior, you're putting yourself at risk. Therefore, that needs to go hand in hand. That is something that we need to work on and something that we need to sort of attend to on a day-by-day basis. It's the same thing with cybercrime, right? I mean, ultimately, it's the oldest trick in the book, a confidence trick. Somebody is depriving you of your money, just as you would be. I mean, people have played all kinds of confidence tricks over years. With cyber means, there are two things. They have to get a little cleverer, and B, the impact can be a little wider, or it's easier for them to do the cyber trick sitting where they are. So this awareness, and that is one of the intents, that is one of the spaces where MeitY and CERT-In and a number of other agencies are working on, and we are trying to move this faster. In the Government of India structure, for instance, the other aspect that we realize is in the space of cybersecurity overall, we need significantly greater coordination amongst a range of agencies, which is why I'm very heartened by the fact that in today's event, we have so many officials present from across different agencies. We also have the DGP present, because what is it? It requires a number of agencies to act together. So our allocation of business rules puts the National Security Council Secretariat at the top as a coordinating entity which takes care of this. The entire cyber security vertical, in terms of what research goes into it, what measures have to be taken, what is the response that needs to be done, comes within the responsibility of MeitY, because we are the parent ministry for the IT Act. The network security, telecom network security, comes within the Ministry of Communications and the Department of Telecom, because they are responsible for the network within the country. And of course, cybercrime comes within the responsibility of the Ministry of Home Affairs. And they take care of the cybercrime aspect of what needs to be done, which is, again, very significant and important. And what happens is, certain things when individuals are affected, it's a cybercrime issue and so on. But certain things when larger systems are affected and there are issues with government's own operational systems, then there are two levels of response which are needed. One level of response is from within the organization and the overall cybersecurity agency responsible for it, CERT-In, whose full version is Center for Response and Computer Emergency Response, and Computer Emergency Response Team is what they are called. And this is something which is there across the world in different organizations. So they coordinate with different agencies in order to both assess what the threats are which are coming in and how you sort of alert the threats, and also to ensure that when a particular incident takes place or when an attack takes place, then you respond to it appropriately. So that is the role that they play. And once something has happened, there's also a complete investigation in order to find out who's actually done it and what action can we take against them. And that becomes the responsibility really of a police organization through the cyber cells to register the cybercrime. That is why the coordination of all of these agencies is so important in order to address this. Every organization needs a strong cybersecurity vertical today. We don't spend enough on cybersecurity. There are findings which say that about 15 to 20% of the IT budgets of each organizations need to be spent on cybersecurity. Many organizations don't do it, in India in particular. Again, it's a force of habit. How many of you are 100% sure that all the software that you use on your laptops or on your personal devices are actually authorized versions and you're not using pirated software? This is something which happens very often. You're not prepared to buy or spend on cybersecurity features in the various devices that we use. Certain incidentally has a Cyber Swachhata Kendra, which actually puts together such protections for your devices, which even as individuals you can download. Very often we don't use it. Very often we don't spend enough. In fact, among startups in the cybersecurity space, one of the complaints we get is that there isn't enough buying of cybersecurity products for cybersecurity startups to be viable. And if they are buying, they prefer to buy a product from some other country. Now, that is a problem because you see, cybersecurity is one area where we must have domestic capability. Unlike any other area of, other things are fine because every jurisdiction, every country will want to protect their own interests. And for all you know, any product that you buy from some other country may have a backdoor which enables security agencies or other people from their own country to sort of see what is going on. So you must have domestic capacity in cybersecurity. In fact, as part of your entire startup program, I think you should really emphasize even cybersecurity startups. What we are attempting to do at a national level is to make sure that there is enough emphasis on cybersecurity, not just in government, but even in private organizations, banks, financial institutions, power companies. There was a mention of power companies, transportation companies. We are aware that, a few months ago there was this disruption of aircraft flying across different jurisdictions because of a cybersecurity incident. So I think there is enough which needs to be done in this space, enough where we need to act. And here, I think the other element which becomes very important is also, and something which many of you need to be aware of in terms of what is coming up as newer areas, is under the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, which is likely to be notified very shortly. There is a responsibility for all entities, both anybody who collects data, to protect it. And if there is a breach of data, then there are hefty fines which are levied on the organization. And I can assure you today that government organizations are not an exception there. And government organizations possibly have the largest volume of personal data. All of our data is preserved there in some form or the other. And therefore, it becomes very critical that we have to ensure that the protection of data that we have, both at rest and in motion, is something that we take care of on an ongoing basis to protect ourselves from all of these issues as well. And even as citizens, if data which we have given to somebody to preserve and hold gets leaked because of a cyber incident. Therefore, it's very, very important. I think it's a space where much more action is needed, coordination across agencies is needed, and this kind of coordination, the DGP mentioned about cooperative federalism, working together is something that we need to do a lot more of. And what I was extremely heartened to notice yesterday during my visits is the way seamlessly the Directorate of Information Technology here in Tripura has worked with NIC and various other government agencies to make sure that there is a way in which synergistically the programs are developed by NIC and then they are deployed and operated through DIT across various departments, and there is a almost completely seamless interaction in the way that this goes on. So those opportunities are also huge, and I think in that sense, you truly stand out as an example for many other states in the country to actually adopt a very proactive and a very synergistic, convergent approach to make sure that these operations are effective and these operations are something that we do on an ongoing basis to ensure that the better services are delivered. And I think we need to take a similar approach, and today's Cyber Bharat Setu is a step in the right direction of better collaboration between central agencies and state agencies to actually deliver the results to the people in the space of cybersecurity. Likewise, I'd like to also emphasize that, we have when I collected details of the various entities from the government of India, specifically from MeitY, which are working in Tripura and doing good work, the number of them. We have a whole host of entities who are working there in the entire range of what MeitY does, starting from semiconductor chips, where in NIT, National Institute of Technology, Agartala, we run the Chips to Startup program for designing chips. We run a number of entrepreneurship programs in our 2 STPI campuses here. NILIT has a center here, a wonderful campus, and it's been upgraded to the level of a university, so they'll be able to offer more courses, and this is a facility which needs to be used even more. Incidentally, agency like NILIT, actually bulk of its centers are present in the Northeast. We have almost 20 centers out of the 55 operating in states in the Northeast, and our intent is to make sure that we are able to provide the kind of service that people here need. The Chief Secretary rightly emphasized that IT and the digital skills are the way that the state can really grow and develop in the modern age. And clearly you have an agency on our behalf which can support you in doing this. We have set up an AI lab in NILIT. We can support cybersecurity related courses as well, because we run programs like Digital Future Skills Prime, and we also run the program of Information Security Education and Awareness Project. And that is something where, again, considerable work in the cybersecurity space can be done. I understand that in Tripura itself, we've trained close to about 1,274 people under the ISA program in phase 2 and about 875 in phase 3. And we would like to expand this further and truly work with you to make sure that this is made available. Mention was made of data centers and the internet gateway, which can come up here, both in terms of having an internet gateway in the Northeast and also in terms of having abundant power and water, makes you the right location for more data centers to come up in this space. And I'm sure we'd be able to work together. Government of India is also putting together a framework in which we can support data centers to come up faster. And even in terms of data storage, I think it's important to realize that increasingly we are working on a PPP model. Increasingly, we want to involve private sector stakeholders much more in each of these aspects, whether it is in terms of managed service provision or in terms of the infrastructure itself, data centers and so on. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is that while we need core technical staff in the government itself who can actually administer some of these contracts, we are never going to be on par with the private sector in this space. I mean, it's a fast developing area. The surface of attack that many of the private sector organizations see in their operations, whether it is a software company or it is a data services company, they see a much larger surface of attack. They are much more nimble and flexible, and they keep innovating to make sure that those protections are there. So we should get out of a model where government does everything. We have to work with the private sector to make sure those facilities are added. And in every way, and I'm glad today that we have representatives of the private sector here as well, we can work together to make sure that this is done on an ongoing basis. And this is an area where we can work across the board. The intent of the Government of India, the intent of MeitY is also to work with agencies, with partners and stakeholders from across anything which is domestic, anything that we can work with. any entity that we can work with to push forward is an agency we can work with. A similar PPP approach is with CSCs, which you mentioned. There are more than 2,059 CSCs in Tripura, which exceeds the number of panchayats here, and so clearly it's a strong movement here. It is run by village level entrepreneurs. So I think IT today represents an opportunity for Tripura in a number of ways. It represents an opportunity to leapfrog. It represents an opportunity to actually engage with people, engage with multiple stakeholders in the state to actually move it forward. And we really need to leverage this strength and always remember that when we are applying IT and when we are applying digital means, make it digital and secure by design. So right from the word go, plan for it with the security alongside, rather than add security as an afterthought. And that's one way in which we can serve the people better. We can ensure that our concerns on security are addressed, but at the same time, IT is leveraged to deliver the kind of outcomes that we want to. Let me once again thank you for this extremely patient hearing and for the very, very warm and hospitable welcome that we've received. I only regret that my visit is such a short one. I wish I had spent a little more time and availed of this hospitality and seen some of the other more beautiful places that Tripura has to offer. But I can assure you that I go back with a lot of confidence that at least in the IT space and the cybersecurity space, Tripura is making all the right moves, and this is an area which will support both the growth of the state and ensure protection for its people, and you will be a leader in this space in the days to come. Thank you very much.